okay siya. Add more gain. But again, this pedal is not for me. Okay, the MXR double shot distortion. 2 channels. Basically it's basically two distortions in one pedal. This is the kind of practical pedal, you know, a pedal that's very practical for me, because instead of having one for distorted rhythm, one for guitar solos, at least you have it in one, you know, in one unit, just like the double treble and like the twin tube. And you can voice each distortion differently. This one may pronounce mid-range siya. If I were to describe it in my head, it reminds me of brown cardboard. I don't know if that makes sense, but whenever I hear something, I associate it with something which may not have anything to do with music. But just now, that sound that I heard, it makes me think of brown cardboard. It might be something else for you. The other channel sounds like this, which sounds like brown cardboard na may konting tinta. There's a focus knob here, and what this does, I think what the focus knob does is it takes out the mids. It gives you that scooped sound. So in theory, you have 4 different sounds to work with. Oh yeah, one of the things that I consider very important when I'm looking for a distortion pedal is when I play a chord, I should hear the chord. If you've played through a fuzz pedal, you know that that's not gonna happen. Pag root and fifth, pag power chords, it works, but when you add ninths, when you add sevenths, it doesn't sound good. Ito, very emo, if you're into that. But mind you, it's when you play a chord like that and then you put distortion on it and you can still identify the chord. For me, that's the sign of a good distortion pedal then, because it doesn't get too muddy. Now, here's the boss metalcore, which I believe a lot of kids would really love. Very metal. And it's not for me. At least not in terms of my playing style. Obviously, this is marketed for kids who love metal, without realizing that bands like Lamb of God actually will not use a pedal like this. But you know, I guess it's helpful if you have a small amp and then you're trying to get that 7-foot Marshall stack na tunog, you know, or a Mesa or whatever. You know, it kind of transforms your little amp into one of those things. It's not a very dynamic pedal as far as I'm concerned, but I don't know. Sometimes people can get amazing sounds out of the pedals that you think are me. And I think this thing has a built-in noise gate, because ideally this pedal has it has a lot of distortion. It should have a lot of hiss and noise, but wala oh. And then if I let go, it's very quiet for a high gain pedal. And in that sense, maganda yung design niya. if you decide to get a pedal like this, I have to warn you that I once programmed a sound like that, yung very bottom heavy, and I actually blew 2 fuses from 2 different amps. So you better be careful with a pedal like this. You can actually blow a fuse, literally. This one's a Canadian pedal called the Radial Hollywood Distortion, and again, it's a dual distortion box. It has a few switches if you want to cut the highs and add more gain. May switches, and then you can set the levels differently. The drive would be the same for both pedals. Raise your hand if you can hear a bit of a fuzzy thing. Can you hear a bit of a... Parang may buzz, right? May konti, di ba? For me personally, I don't like that sound. But it doesn't mean that it's a bad sound, because it might work for someone else. So, again, I'm not trying to tell you what's good or bad. I'm just trying to show you that, I make choices based on what I want to hear, what I want to sound like. And someone else might be able to get a beautiful sound out of that. For me, it doesn't quite work. Taas ng kamay if you love Marshall amps. I don't. No, precisely because of that. Yung Marshall na distortion, I hear that buzz. I hear that slight fizziness on top, which, I mean, it doesn't work for it works for Mark very well. When Mark plays through a Marshall or what, I don't hear that. But when I play through this, because I think the Hollywood Bones is trying to emulate the sound of a Marshall, so that buzzing is there, and I just can't play with that sort of sound. But a lot of people can do great things with that sound. I'm just saying that I can't. See, PJ is a boogeyman. I think I'm a boogeyman din. Again, there's no right or wrong. It's just a matter of what works for you. What do you like to hear? I'm hearing that buzz. I don't like it. But some people like that because maybe it helps them define the note when you're upper up the neck or something, or maybe it gives you clarity when you're on the low strings.